I love the smell of the Coleman stove. A couple of little singed hairs there, but as usual. Now for one coffee and a top up. Cinnamon and spice today. I've been doing apple and cinnamon, so today we're really going out on a limb here. Looks like we have another nice day. Eat my oatmeal, then I have my bacon, bite of dried fruit, which I already had, and that's it. I went over the maps a little more, and I think I'm gonna take the time to climb Nitro Mountain. I'll basically camp where I'm gonna start the hike from this evening. So I'm gonna bang off 35 kilometers today. I am gonna be going through some canyons today, but they're not really whitewater canyons. So I think I'm gonna risk not putting my dry suit on and leaving the spray deck off in order to just save time and get out of camp quickly, because that takes some time. Yeah, this river, it hasn't really needed a spray deck because there hasn't been the big waves, but it still has been very spirited, consistent, ripping current, tight bends. You're always on your toes. You know, being as remote as it is, those sweepers can be dangerous. You know, it's hard to grade it compared to just a typical whitewater river that's just flat water and then a big rapid, where this one is just constantly seems like somewhat of a rapid. I think today is going to be about fly fishing. I brought my fly rod with me, catch some grayling, maybe a lake trout, and so I think I'm gonna rig that up before I leave, bust out the fly rod and try a few casts at promising looking spots. Of course, I don't have a ton of time for that kind of stuff because I still got to bang off 35k, but I should be able to do it all. Well, I got to put my wading boots and neoprene socks on. Some mornings these are dried out, but typically they're wet and cold. Boat's ready to go. The Bluetti is charging. I'm just putting together my 4-piece fly rod here. This is a 9-foot rod by Gray's. It's a number 6, which is kind of like your all-around rod. And I have a sweet little reel here, also by Gray's. Yeah, the 4-piece rod is great for this kind of stuff. It's so packable. You know, the black feather guides told me this wasn't really a good river to guide on, just because of all the sweepers and stuff like that, and all the channels. Like, going through so many different channels, you could see how you could get split up if you have a larger group. One canoe can go one way, the other could go the other way, and then they could run into challenges, not have anyone around to help, and the rest of the group not knowing where the heck they are. Okay. Fly rod rigged up. Now I'm going to tie a fly off. Got a few weighted flies here, but I think I'm going to try going with this little Prince bead. Looks like a little fly, but it should be able to get a little deeper. All right. Well, she's working. I just got to find a decent spot. This is really shallow here. But yeah, no way am I an expert fly fisherman. I don't do it very often, but it's nice for a change and it's effective. Most of the time a spinning reel setup is going to be more effective, but there are times when a fly is going to beat anything. And it's frustrating when you don't have one in those times. And out here, you know, you find a good spot, the fish want to eat, they'll kind of hit anything. I'm worried that the West Hart River, which I'm going to be reaching the confluence of soon, is going to pour in some silty water, and this nice water clarity won't last long, so I'll have to pick the mouths of freshwater tributaries to fish. But anyways, I was supposed to get away early today, and here I haven't again, because I've been doing all kinds of other stuff like fly fishing. So I better get in the boat and get on my way. I got 35 kilometers to make it today, camping in a canyon by Mount Nitro. Super excited. My trip is nearing the halfway point. Feels like I just got here. Beautiful so far, like loving it. Loving this river here, this clear water I'm on. It's making me thirsty just to look at. Wow, this is super cool. Big sloping bluff coming right into the river here. Some fun standing waves. The current slows down and that fast current hits the slow current. And that's what creates a standing wave. So standing waves aren't made by rocks, they're made by fast water hitting slow water. You notice the current's a little slower here. And standing waves are those waves in a rapid that you see it just stay in one place. They'll just stay there. It makes that noise. Sometimes more like, sometimes, but mostly, and sometimes it's like, but not too often. Well, I might do a little bit of fly casting in this spot, I reckon. Well, there doesn't seem to be much of a back eddy or area where there's no current here. It's also shallow. Typically the fish like a little back eddy with no current. They can hang out there and pick off food that's drifting down in the current. So this might not be the best spot, but you never know. This isn't a tributary either. It's just another braid feeding the main channel of the river. Well, bummer, no luck here. I think I did see a little one jump out there, but there's too much current, it's too shallow, not enough of a back eddy. Once I get out of these braids, I think it'll be better and I'll pick up the next tributary and fish there. But beautiful spot to stop and take a few casts. I'm gonna call this no fish bluff. It acted like there was fish there, but it was bluffing. I'll be here all night. I'd say try the fish, but there aren't any. Actually looks like there's about 100 yards of river where there's not a ripping tight turn with sweepers everywhere. I just tucked my rod under the carrying handle at the front there. As long as you don't jump in the canoe and like stomp on the rod and break it, it should be okay. And for the most part, the tip's tucked down low, so branches sticking out from shore probably won't catch it. It still potentially could happen, so I'm taking a bit of a risk, but no risk, no reward. Kingfisher with a fish. Huge mountains there, peeking up in the distance. There's all these little falcons. I think they're called kites. They're small, fast birds of prey. And looks like there's at least 2 nesting pairs up there, and they didn't like the fact that I was coming close. So they're chirping at me. This is awesome, guys. It's surreal. What weather too. When I was on the bottom plume, it was just like pretty freaking cold. And I had frost in the middle of July. Can't hold up for too long. I'm sure I'll get some nasty weather sometime, but this is just epic. Well, it appears that the creek mouth I was going to fish at must have been hidden behind one of the islands in these braids, and I went past it. It should have been there by now. Unless I'm making terrible time, which is, you know, all too possible. Yeah, you got to be on your toes in these braids. You know, you'll come around the corner, there'll be ripping current, it'll be pushing right up against a cut bank with trees falling down, bushes in the water, sweepers ready to knock you out of your boat or even pin your boat. It can be very dangerous, but there are a lot of nice stretches where it's not so challenging too. Here's a deep section, super deep here. Figure it's not a bad idea to stop and stretch the old legs anyways. Scarf some trail mix. Hopefully I can get into something here. I don't know, it looks deeper. There's no tributary, just a back eddy, but it's deep. The last spot I tried, there was no still current, no real back eddy, and it was shallow. You know, you can't just cast into the middle of 6-inch deep ripping current and expect to catch anything 90% of the time. It's very, very unpressured here. So where there are fish, the fishing's good, but there's not fishing everywhere. And some of these rivers are silty too. So the fish don't like the silt because that silt gets into their gills and hurts the way they breathe, and they can't see their prey. And so in those silty rivers or murky rivers, that's why they congregate around the mouth of shallow tributary creeks that are clear. I got one. This must be what the kingfisher had. A tiny baby grayling. On to the next spot. Just paddling up to the foot of a gorgeous mountain. It's like a diamond. Looks like a big pointy diamond pointing upwards. Ooh, a cool breeze. Oh yes. Oh, I need that. Just cooked there while I was fishing. My Blue Eddy's gonna be getting a pretty good charge, you know. When I was doing the bonnet plume, I wasn't getting much sun, and it was, you know, really iffy on my batteries a few times. This trip, with the amount of sun I'm getting, we're doing pretty good. Same thing with me and Ted in Manitoba. We had so much sun early on in the trip, we were able to keep our batteries charged and filmed a ton. But a bit of a rapid coming up. Just looks like one rock or hole that I gotta miss to the left, but the left looks shallow, so hopefully I don't get swept into it. Well, I think this is definitely my favorite stretch of the river so far. Just awesome. Canyon-like, the mountains are right beside the river. Unbelievable. I've been taking my time going through it because I just don't want to blast by it. It's so awesome. Somewhere in the distance, the gambler, he broke even, and in his final words I found an ace that I could keep. What the hell? Pack rafts. Huh. Somebody must be doing a pack rafting trip. Maybe into another watershed, and their portage ended here. Cool. You could run like just like raging class 4s and pack rafts without even scouting. Anyways, first sign of any humans. Still haven't seen anybody out here, but other than the remnants of a fireplace. I know there's been at least one other group that's come down this river before me. I doubt there'll be any after me, but now I'm thinking, who knows, maybe those pack rafters will catch up to me. It really does mix the best of both worlds, pack rafting. Like you can backpack and paddle. Well, just coming up to the West Hart River, and it is definitely dumping a load of sediment into the crystal clear waters of the Hart, but maybe it's not extremely substantial and the water will still be clear enough. I don't know. Well, it's around here where the heart-shaped rock from whence the river got its name, Gwich'in name, is supposed to be. I don't see it though. And then what's a heart? Like, I don't think Gwich'in people back in the day had like a heart, like a Valentine's heart shape either. Could it be that? Not really shaped like a heart. Maybe this? We're still headed through this canyon lands here, and it is amazing. A lot of canyons have rapids in them. Well, this doesn't really, but it gives you time to actually look up and take in the grandeur and beauty of the canyon walls and ridges and mountains. It's pretty freaking awesome. Looks like I won't be rolling into camp till pretty late again today though, but no point in getting stressed out about it. I think that's Mount Nitro right there. That's what I'm gonna climb tomorrow. Wasn't until after the Klondike gold rush had started that there became a police presence in the Yukon. The Northwest Mounted Police came in to bring about some kind of order, and they had a winter route between Dawson, which was the kind of heart of the Klondike, at Fort McPherson, which is down the Peel River actually in the Northwest Territories. And their winter route, very arduous and long, I think crossed the Hart River somewhere around here. It even followed it for a little short bit. And there's old foot trails, old travel routes from Gwich'in people who spent a good portion of the year in the mountains here and traveled migratorily from here downriver and back up. And you know, I'm just sort of feel that connection with this incredible country around me, but in a part I feel sad that I'm never really gonna know it like some of the people who spent their lives getting to understand the movements of nature and being able to spot an animal so well and communicate with animals, calling them, understand their movements, and just be really a part of nature and of this environment in a much deeper sense. Unfortunately, that's a dying way, and like a lot of people, you know, you take the path that'll try to pay the bills and make money, and less is learning and understanding those skills, a way that you can actually make money. To me, even though it might not be practical and in a sense that it might not pay the bills, to me it's just worth so much more than money. That knowledge, it really is. Oh, nice Nice to get a little bit of shade, man. It has been really warm the last little while. I swear the heat peaks in the day probably around 3 here. It's just sweltering. Before I left, I heard it's supposed to be quite hot across a lot of the country. I'm not complaining, but you get more tired when it's this hot and you're trying to paddle, do a lot of physical exercise. You get tired quicker. Here, fishy, fishy, fishy. Oh, 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 there it is. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yes. Oh, I lost it. Well, it looks like the water's still clear enough for grayling to hit. There's one. Small. Ah, the smell of Arctic grayling slime on my hands. I'm just looking at these epic cliffs, colors in the rock, little trees studding some of the ridges, the sun catching some of them, little pillars sticking up. So cool. Here's something I can't say I've ever seen before. Those 2 little trees, maybe they broke free and then washed and got propped up, but that looks like a good fishing hole there, but I'm almost at camp and it's so late. I'll have to put my fly fishing dreams on hold, I think. So Nitro Mountain is essentially right here. So I'm looking for a campsite on the left. First thing I see, I'm going to jump out. Wow, this is just incredible. My hike tomorrow up Nitro Mountain. It was named after Joe Nitro. I'm not sure if he was related to Gladys Nitro, who was one of the people that spearheaded the protection of the Peel watershed. One of the last completely intact watersheds in the entire world. The Snake, the Bonnet Plume, the Hart, the Wind River are all tributaries of the Peel watershed. It was slated for major development, and after a very long battle all the way to the Supreme Court, the majority of it has been protected, and not protected as a park, just protected as, okay, we're not going to go mess this place up. So it's pretty special. Real debt of gratitude is owed to these people, the real heroes. Well, I made it, my 35K. There's a little creek pouring in here. Mount Nitro is right over there. It's looking extremely challenging, but I'm going to give it a shot tomorrow and set up camp here. Looks like a decent spot. I'm gonna go check it out, see if I can find a flat space, but another long day on the water. Oh, 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 the knees. There might even be some fish here. But that is the way that I'm gonna hike up to the mountain tomorrow. Looks like a half decent place to camp. Yes, indeed. A beautiful sight. Looks like some others have camped here before. I'll take it. Some weather's blowing in. Looks stormy, no more sun. Wow, beautiful sight. Awesome view. I could smell that forest fire smoke in the air now. You barely see the mountains in the distance. Always a tinge of concern. Well, it's pretty windy, so I staked my tent out first. Hopefully the wind changes and it blows out of here. Or else I'm not going to get much of a view from the mountaintop. Pretty sturdy tent. I don't think that thing's going anywhere. Famous last words, I suppose. In case these winds pick up any, I don't think this would hurt. Has my tomato sauce gone bad? Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna do a pizzadilla. I'm gonna fold it over so I can flip it, because last time it didn't work out too well for old Jim. Hi-yo. This is a beautiful spot. There's a fire pit here. Typically what people do on these rivers, which is great, is just it's a leave no trace principle, where you don't build fire rings and leave them. And most of the time, if anybody did, they're camping on the gravel bars, and they all just get washed away the next spring anyways. All right, let's check this out. Let's see how these look. Look at the cheese. Look in there. Sometimes when I get to camp, when I'm hungry and I get to camp late, I start shoving stuff in my mouth. Trail mix. I ate some fruit source bars. I'm gonna have no fruit source bar on my last day. Polished off those yummy dried mangoes and filled myself up pretty good on food I'm not supposed to be eating. But you know what? I'm the boss out here. I remember one trip I did, it was I think 21 days. It was my last day. I was paddling on James Bay, or second last day. And the only food I had left over was some pancake mix and pasta. So I had to make my pasta in the morning, put it in a Ziploc, and then pound that while I was out there paddling. And then the last morning I made my pancakes out on the tidal flats, waiting for the tide to come in to get away from the bugs. And my stove guy who died, well, my last pancake was only half cooked, so I just ate it anyways. Was that due to the fact that I dipped into lunch rations when I shouldn't have been? I don't remember, but there's a good chance. Traveled a long way today. The canyons were amazing. I'm gonna go down and get some water and tuck in for a well-deserved rest. After today, I have 5 days left to finish this trip, so wish I had a bit more time. I'm feeling a little pushed, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna just take the time to do this hike.